TCL is a proud sponsor of the 1500 ESPN studios. TCL, America's fastest growing TV brand. Minnesota Vikings, the NFL, football, yeah, football. Welcome to Purple Podcast.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Purple Podcast. Matthew Coller here, and joining me, my friend and former NFL wide receiver, Donald Jones, because I needed someone to put in different perspective how good Adam Thielen and Stefon Diggs are. I could tell you they're good. I could tell you all their statistics that show you they're good, but I don't have the trained eye that Donald Jones has. Donald, how are you?
I'm good, man. What up, though? Thank you for having me.
Now, first of all, it has to make you proud as an undrafted wide receiver. You were undrafted, right?
I was undrafted, man. You're about to make me cry.
Okay, sorry. An undrafted wide receiver to see Adam Thielen, undrafted guy, Stefon Diggs, fifth-round guy, have the success that they've had. These are not first-rounders who were praised and loved. They had to earn every bit of it just like you did.
You know, it's I just tweeted something out the other day about, I think it was about Alex Smith going number one overall. You know, the same draft as Aaron Rodgers, you know, and how the draft is not an exact science. Mm-hmm. And people that get paid a lot of money and they just miss on these guys. It happens every year. We see it every year. We see guys go undrafted, later round picks that end up superstars, and we see guys in the first round that end up out of the league in 3 years, right? So, these two guys are, you talk about route running, they are two of the best in the league right now. I mean, it's amazing to watch those guys. And Adam Thielen, I truly do watch him because he's on my fantasy team.
Well, let's.
And he's like a sleeper, man. People sleep on him every year in the draft, and then he ends up coming out with like 20, 25 points a week. I'm like, yes, I need that guy.
Well, the listeners of this podcast know that after the 2016 season, he was a restricted free agent, which is pretty rare to be a restricted free agent and be a guy that someone might want to go chase after because it has to fit certain, qualifications. But I wrote an article about how someone should really come and get Adam Thielen because this guy is legit after watching back all the tape and all that. And he had 69 catches in his 2016 season. Nobody came. I mean, imagine if the Packers had just come in and said, all right, we're just going to make an offer that this guy can't refuse and steal him away from the Vikings. I mean, that could have changed everything. And I think that other teams even slept on how good Adam Thielen was in 2016 and have seen him grow even more over these last 2 years into one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Man, you see it all the time. You see teams sleeping on wide receivers like Adam Thielen, and I think he gets the short end of the stick because, and I don't want to make people upset, but because he's a wide receiver, they kind of look at him and group him in with Julian Edelman and those types of guys. Mm-hmm. But Adam Thielen can actually do everything on the football field. He can go deep. He can work the slots for you. I mean, that guy is a complete wide receiver, make key blocks for you. So I think that's why teams sleep on him, but the Vikings sure didn't.
No, I think he's the next Wes Welker. That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a joke. I'm kidding.
He is the next Wes Welker. Hopefully, he doesn't drop a big pass in the Super Bowl for the Vikings.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of a height advantage of about 3 or 4 inches on Wes Welker as well.
Yeah, a little bit. But I remember last year or 2 years ago, I think it was last year, the Bills played the Vikings in the preseason, and I was down on the field, and I'm looking at him like, okay, that's Adam Thielen, and I'm looking at him like, damn, he's kind of tall.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was that tall, so yeah, man.
So let's talk about him first with the route running. He starts the game against the Philadelphia Eagles by just completely juking Jalen Mills out of his mind and getting open, and then diving out to make the catch as Kirk Cousins is getting pressure in his face. Just tell me what you see on the details of his route running that makes him so special.
So on that route, he actually, he stems in, and once he gets in, he starts to attack the safety, right? Because he has Jalen Mills kind of on his hip. And now he's attacking the safety, and you can see both of them looking at him. And Jalen Mills is chasing him, and then the breakdown and the juke at the top of the route is amazing, you know, and he goes in, up, and then back out. And Jalen Mills is just totally lost. And then for him to dive out and make that catch was just, you know, it was a thing of beauty.
How much do you work on high difficulty catches as a wide receiver? I mean, is that something where you want to be careful how often you lay out in practice because you don't want to hurt yourself, but at the same time you know those catches are going to come in the games?
Yeah, you don't want to be diving in practice like that, especially when you're a guy like Thielen or, you know, Stefon Diggs. These guys are going to be on the team. The coaches are like, hey man, you don't have to lay out in practice. If you're a guy still trying to make the team, then, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But the quarterback will understand in practice, like, you know, we need you for the game. We don't need you laying out in practice for balls. That's something, just a natural instinct. You know, you work on your hands and you dream about those types of catches once you get into the game. And it just comes natural, man. You dive out there and you make the play. But it's not really something you want to practice, because that's how you get hurt in practice.
It seems like Thielen has a great ability to win at the top of his routes with his breaks. That I don't know what it is about him that is where he's so good at it, but every time he breaks off his route, it seems like he creates a big gap in separation. And I don't know if that's in part because they know he runs the double move, which we saw in this game as well. And people remember in 2016 when he sort of burst on the scene against the Houston Texans, where he ran a double move and ended up with a touchdown. I mean, what does it take to be good at the top of your route like he is?
So what does it take to be good at the top of your route? It takes understanding, number one, understanding what the defense is trying to do. Understanding your route, you know, so typically on a route like the one we're talking about, there's usually different angles that you're going to come out of that route, right? So when he comes out of his stem, after he gets off the line of scrimmage, he comes in. Once he goes straight up the field, for those who are listening, once he goes straight up the field, he's going right at the safety. Mm-hmm. And he understands that the safety is over top of him. So when he comes out of that break, he has to kind of come flat downhill, and that's what he does. If the safety was to continue to back up, he would then juke and kind of go on a deeper angle. And then if the quarterback stopped to throw him down. But the safety was coming down over top of him, so he came out flat. So number one is understanding what you're trying to get done, understanding what the defense is doing to you. And once you really, truly understand a defense, you can really do what it is that you want to do. And once you get to the top of that break, you can put your little juke move with your head and shoulders, and then boom, come out of that break solid. If the quarterback is good enough, he's going to get it there, which, you know, Kirk Cousins is.
How much did that matter to your success in making the league and rising up to be a number 2 wide receiver in the NFL? Sorry, I got to give your friend Stevie Johnson the number 1 wide receiver in that case. How much did it make a difference for you going from a guy that might not make the team to being a starter, for how well you knew the game, how well you could read defenses?
You know, when you're not a guy who might be Julio Jones, you know, you're not 6'5" and blessed to run 4.3, go 4.4. You got to figure out a way to still get open, you know. And so for me, I understood that I was a bigger, more physical guy, so I could use my body to lean on DBs and get open. Adam Thielen is a taller receiver. He's not the biggest guy, but he knows how to use his body and his head and shoulders at the top of his routes. He understands. The biggest thing of playing receiver is understanding, like I said, the defense, what they're trying to get done, and understanding how to sell something, make it look like you're doing what you're not doing, you know, and he gets that. So he can get to the top of his route and really put a move like he's going to go in, and next thing you know, the DB goes in and he breaks out. And so it just takes a lot of practice and understanding yourself, understanding how you like to get open. Everybody gets open in a different way. You know, bigger guys use their bodies, they lean on guys. Other guys use quickness. Steve Johnson, he used whatever it was that he used to get open. he used basketball really to get open and one basketball. And it's just understanding everything that's going on the field and understanding your game and how you know how to get open. And if you do that and if the quarterback understands it and he gives you that time, then you'll be a good wide receiver.
Now, both of these guys are so good off the line of scrimmage. It seems like if you are going to press them, that's not going to work out very well for you, and Adam Thielen showed that on his 68-yard catch the other day. I mean, how is it that these guys, against the NFL's best cornerbacks, not necessarily in Philadelphia, but on a week-to-week basis, facing off with some of the best, how is it that they're always able to create separation off the line?
Lucky's 13 Pubs has you covered for the best game day experience this football season. Tons of TVs, legendary appetizers, amazing fresh half-pound burgers, handcrafted sandwiches, and a wide variety of other pub favorites. The drink menu is awesome, too. Huge selection of tap beer, handcrafted cocktails, and the best Bloody Marys in town. Seriously, these Bloodies are awesome. Try the Bacon Bloody, the Jalapeno Bloody, the Mother Mary, or just get a flight and try them all. Plus, Lucky's 13 celebrates Sunday Fun Day. Happy hour all day long on Sunday, every Sunday. Events and prize giveaways during games, too. Lucky's 13 has locations in Bloomington, Burnsville, Mendota, Plymouth, and Roseville. Having people over for the game? Call ahead to Lucky's and order some of those legendary apps, and they'll be ready to bring home when you get there. It's football time at Lucky's 13 Pubs. Find them online at luckys13pub.com. luckys13pub.com. It's the most wonderful time of the year, football time. And Lucky's 13 Pubs has you covered for the best game day experience. luckys13pub.com.
Number one is understanding the film and what that guy likes to do. We all are creatures of habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you watch film, certain DBs like to quick jam you. You know, they like to get their hands on you really fast. Other DBs, they'll take one step a certain way almost every time. And it's really just understanding what those guys like to do. Once you understand what they like to do, you can come up with your counter moves, you know. So it's just watching film. And the guys who watch the most film, the guys who understand it the most and understand what the defense is trying to do, understand what that DB is trying to do, you'll be able to come up with counter moves every week to get off the line of scrimmage. And you'll have counter moves and you'll have backup counter moves, you know. And if you're smart enough, you'll be good at it.
So let's talk about Stefon Diggs. And on this podcast, this is a Stefon Diggs podcast going back quite a ways, and there were people who doubted whether the Vikings would want to keep Stefon Diggs or pay him what he was worth, and the numbers inside the efficiency when throwing to Stefon Diggs are eye-popping. I mean, Kirk Cousins has 118 quarterback rating. Last year, Case Keenum had 120 quarterback rating when throwing at Stefon Diggs. High completion percentages. The guy catches everything, his route running, his details, and then no surprise to any Purple Podcast listeners that they did sign him to a $70 million contract. So tell me what you see. Yeah, not bad, right? Not bad.
Not bad, man.
Buy a motorcycle or two.
First of all, everything sticks to his hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least that's what my son says from the commercial. The mailbox.
That's right.
Stuck to his hands. But, you know, the biggest thing with Stefon Diggs is having Adam Thielen on the other side, or sometimes the same side as him. And Kirk Cousins understanding the defenses and what they're trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, if Stefon Diggs is one-on-one, you're going to him. Stefon Diggs, once again, he is a very good route running wide receiver. He's fast, but you're not going to say he's 4.2 fast.
Right.
You know, he understands the game. He understands how to sell it, make it look like he's going to go deep. And next thing you know, like there's one route in the game, I believe it was against, Richard Sherman in the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes off the line of scrimmage. You know, he stutters like he's going to do an out and up. Matter of fact, I think he did. He broke out and then he went up the field and then he breaks down and comes back on a comeback, you know, and Richard Sherman is totally lost because he thinks that he's doing an out and up. So he just understands how to sell routes. And if you can understand the art of selling a route and making a DB think you're going to do something else, then you're going to be open. And if the quarterback recognizes when you're one-on-one, then he's going to give you that opportunity when you're one-on-one. And he wins his routes when he's one-on-one. Kirk Cousins sees it. when he's one-on-one. Case Keenum did the same thing last year. And like I said, having Adam Thielen on the other side and having even a guy like Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, work in the middle, and then the running backs that the Vikings have, it's hard to like double team Stefon Diggs the entire game. And so once you see him one-on-one, all right, time to go to him. And he makes big plays.
Do you think that teams should or will eventually start playing two deep safeties? Because every time I see a single high safety, you know it's going to one side or the other with Thielen or Diggs, because somebody's going to end up getting left one-on-one, especially if it's cover three.
You know, you'd like to think that, yeah, these teams are going to start playing cover two high safeties to make sure that they have somebody over the top. But the fact of the matter is, once again, when you have a tight end and you have running backs coming out of the backfield, it's hard to just stay in a two high safety.
Right.
Because you have other playmakers on the field.
Right.
And so, all right, you go ahead and stay in the two high safety. We're going to go ahead and just get it to the tight end up the middle, right up the seam. And then you're going to have to come out of that two high safety. And once again, you're going to leave one of those guys wide open. Or not wide open, but one-on-one.
Right.
And the one that's one-on-one, we're going to go to him. And then when you decide to double team him, when he gets hot, we're going to go to the other one, you know. But the biggest thing about Stefon Diggs is they use him in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, I watched the game against the Eagles. He's motioning in the backfield. He's doing a lot of different things. And so it makes it hard for a defense to figure out where he is.
Donald, tell me who your favorite receiver to watch in the NFL is. And I'll tell you why, because we've been talking about these two receivers and trying to figure out, I mean, how many guys are actually better than them in the league? And clearly better, I can only come up with maybe 5 or 6 who I would say definitively are better than either Adam Thielen or Stefon Diggs. Do you have someone where you watch and it just blows you away every time?
Lucky's 13 Pubs has you covered for the best game day experience this football season. Tons of TVs, legendary appetizers, amazing fresh half-pound burgers, handcrafted sandwiches, and a wide variety of other pub favorites. The drink menu is awesome too. Huge selection of tap beer, handcrafted cocktails, and the best Bloody Marys in town. Seriously, these Bloodies are awesome. Try the Bacon Bloody, the Jalapeno Bloody, the Mother Mary, or just get a flight and try them all. Plus, Lucky's 13 celebrates Sunday Fun Day. Happy hour all day long on Sunday, every Sunday. Events and prize giveaways during games, too. Lucky's 13 has locations in Bloomington, Burnsville, Mendota, Plymouth, and Roseville. Having people over for the game? Call ahead to Lucky's and order some of those legendary apps, and they'll be ready to bring home when you get there. It's football time at Lucky's 13 Pubs. Find them online at luckys13pub.com. luckys13pub.com. It's the most wonderful time of the year, football time. And Lucky's 13 Pubs has you covered for the best game day experience. luckys13pub.com.
When I watch Antonio Brown, I love to watch him play. He's the guy who understands routes. He is the guy. Number one, that's my boy. We played in the Senior Bowl together. So, you know, he was another guy who was a late round pick.
Yep.
And so, you know, we kind of just clicked in that because we got to the Senior Bowl and like people were paying attention to all of the other receivers, Jacoby Fords and Marty Gilliard came out that year. He played in the game with us. Like all of those guys, they were like, you know, early round picks. And Antonio Brown and myself, we were like, yo, what's up, man? We down here too in Mobile, you know, can we get some love? And so to see him playing like he plays, I mean, he beats double teams and breaks down double teams. He catches balls over top of people. He takes receiver screens to the house. So to watch him play, for me, he's the best in the league. Julio Jones is a guy who is just a big physical specimen. DeAndre Hopkins, I like to watch.
I think AJ Green probably doesn't get his due because of who he plays for in Cincinnati.
Yeah, him being in Cincinnati, not getting that much airtime, that team just, I don't know what's up with that team, but yeah, he doesn't get his just due, but he's still a top 5 receiver to me. You know what? I like watching, and this reminds me somewhat of the Vikings, the Rams.
Yep.
And Robert Woods. I love to watch Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and even Brandon Cooks now out there because that's another team. They have so many weapons on that team that you can't key on one guy. And that's what reminds me of the Vikings. They have weapons on the offense. You can't just key on one of those guys. So one of those guys is going to be one-on-one, and they usually win their one-on-one battles. And that's what all coaches, receiver coaches will tell you. If you one-on-one, you got to win it.
Yeah.
You cannot get locked down one-on-one. If you can't beat one-on-one in this league, you can't play in this league. And the best thing about Thielen and Stefon Diggs, when they get one-on-one, they win their battles. Just like, those guys out there at the Rams, just like Antonio Brown and A.J. Green and Julio Jones.
Well, Donald, your insight is awesome. On this podcast, we have a offensive line expert who comes on. We have our backup quarterback or journeyman quarterback, Sage Rosenfels, who comes on. Now we have our receiver expert too. So that's right.
Let's talk about.
Let's talk again soon. Where can people follow you on Twitter.com?
You can follow me on Twitter at DAJones19. You'll see me talking junk about a lot of different things on there. I like to have a little bit of fun. And hopefully, I'll be on the show a little bit more. Talk some Vikings.
I would like that. We will make you into not only an Adam Thielen, Stefon Diggs expert, but a Vikings expert as well. So, Donald, thank you very much for joining, and thank you all, as always, for listening to the Purple Podcast.
Michael moves in. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute.
Michael's made landfall and is a very strong Category 4 hurricane, maximum winds of 155 miles per hour. Landfall happened right around 12:30 Central Daylight Time between Mexico Beach, Florida, and Tyndall Air Force Base.
Michael Brennan is at the National Hurricane Center. Caleb Green decided not to evacuate from Michael in Panama City, Florida.
I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. It's kind of fun. I don't know. It's not really too bad. Not right now, at least. It's coming up pretty good.
But President Trump is worried about people who did not evacuate.
We're doing a lot of different things to try and remove people from the area, but a lot of people are very poor in certain of those areas, and it's very tough for them to leave.
Officials in South Carolina say they're more worried about tornadoes than flooding from Michael. Forecasters say tornadoes are possible through the Florida Panhandle, southeast Georgia, and southern South Carolina through tomorrow as Michael moves inland. I'm Ed Donahue.